Hello everyone, this is Raven here, and today I have a battle replay of the Skaven versus High Elves. So this is just a build I've been throwing together, and I've just kind of found that it works the best for me in the circumstances that I've been playing with it anyway. So it's a pretty generic build, I feel, in terms of infantry. So I got like 2 units of clan rats with spears on either flank, as you can see right here. And then the front line, I have 6 units of clan rats without shields, so they're just regular little trash mobs running all around, meat shields as you can see. And I have 2 units of Poison Wind Globadiers on either flank as well, just for that anti-large bonus in case my opponent brought some large units into the front lines like a dragon or eagles or phoenixes or whatever. And in the back we have a Warp Lightning Cannon to help with that anti-large damage and just kind of focusing out on heroes or any large blobs of infantry. And then some Rat Ogres as well to deal with cavalry or any strong, really heavily armored infantry that the High Elves might have brought. And just in the back, some Skaven Slave Spears just to kind of hold together the flanks in case a cavalry unit decides to try and charge my Warp Lightning Cannon. I can tie them up and get some Rat Ogres on them. And then for my hero goon squad, I actually have 3 of these guys. I got the, I don't remember what this guy's actually called. He's, I think it's just a plague cauldron, perhaps. And then right here we have this screaming bell on the side, so good shit going on. So right here for this guy, we have 2 spells. One's gonna be the, nope, not that. It's gonna be Warp Lightning, and then the other one is, I have to look through it, Howling Warp Gale. So that actually stops enemy units that are flying in place, kind of like a net of Emmentalk, but it only affects flying units. So I just kind of predicted perhaps they're gonna bring a dragon or something like that because we have no air presence. So these cannons right here are gonna be able to shoot him down if I freeze him in place, as well as if I can get my Globadiers in place to start throwing some orbs at him. I'll be doing some heavy AP and anti-large damage against him. So right here, I'm just kind of positioned behind my cannons, just protecting them. I had no idea that these guys were in the back, and it never showed me that they were revealed, or perhaps it did, and I just wasn't paying attention. So right here, I put this cannon in group 2, and then I'm going to cast the Howling Warp Gale right here, catch his lord, start shooting them, and I'm going to leave these guys back and then start engaging across this front line as I start seeing all these archers firing in, because these clan rats are going to get shredded up. Watch this damage. Oh yeah. 1 volley did that. Like, I only lost 1 person, but look at that. Almost 50% of my HP is taken away in that 1 volley. So it's just devastating damage. So I need to get in there. I send everybody in, and they just start trying to, like, go right here. They try and slam right here in the middle, where I wanted them to just kind of go around and wrap around. So I start having to pull units to the side because I see how much it's fucking up, but I want to get these abilities off before it's too soon. Cast the lightning right here, just kind of disrupt the formation a little bit. You're gonna start seeing some pestilent breath going off from all my furnaces and the screaming bell. So there goes 1, another one should go soon, and another one, and then probably a summoning of clan rats any moment now. And this dragon's just getting pelted right here by these cannons. In the back, I missed it, but these guys tried to charge in, and they got absolutely massacred. Because like I said, I just brought in the Skaven slaves, tied them up, and then the dragon ogres, 2 units of them just absolutely pounced on them and just destroyed them. And over here, I got my Poison Wind Globadiers firing in against the princess on her dragon, while the cannons are still firing in. Yes, I do lose my lord, which is unfortunate. I believe he does rally in the 4th quarter and will try and come back. Actually, no, he's just gonna fucking die. There's too much archer fire, and the dragon takes him out finally. But I still have the 2 heroes here, able to provide encouragement for their army, keep them in the fight. So I start, having losses in the front line, and it's going to cause everybody to start routing, which is fine. That's what Skaven do. They rout, and they come back. These guys are going to get absolutely destroyed right here. So that's a pretty good little charge going off against them with these Illyrian Reavers, but in the end, they're going to get caught by these guys and destroyed. And same thing for these guys. They're trying to come in and mop up my flanks, but they're fighting against spearmen, Skaven slave spears at that, so this is not where they need to be. They need to be taking out my high-value targets like my Poison Wind Globadiers right here. You can see my Plague Priests are absolutely taking a beating from all these archers, so I'm trying to run them away. I start summoning another unit of rats over here, I believe. And then over here, I'm going to try and get off a Pestilent Breath, I believe. So I'm just trying really desperately to keep my Poison Wind Globadiers intact so I can get their range damage off against all of his archers, because they're what tearing me up right now. So he has lots of Lothern Sea Guard, which comprised about half of his army in the front line, which is regular spearmen, and in the back he just had regular archers, so lots of ranged units. But the Lothern Sea Guard kind of double up as a spear unit on their own and an archer unit, especially if they're the ones with shield variants, but they are not. Then he has a Lower Master of Hoeth right here, and he has every single spell on him, so unfortunate for my opponent, he wasted a little bit of money like that. He could have cut down on spells and perhaps gotten just a few more units, but his loss, my gain right now. So right here, The princess routed, but she's going to be coming back, and these guys are going to start taking out my plague crease, so I'm really trying to keep these guys alive. I lose micro on this guy. Hopefully I start sticking him back on his targets, because that's what I need. These units of clan rats over here tied down these Lothern Sea Guard. They're not going to be able to win that fight, definitely not, but they're going to be able to hold them in place for a little bit. We have a sound bug going on, so I'm going to actually turn down the volume just real quick. Don't actually know how loud it is for you guys, but for me it's incredibly loud. And what happens sometimes is the explosion effects from the Wart Lightning cannons will just continuously go off over and over and over for no reason. Right here, start going after these archers. Oh no, they pulled away. They got tied up and taken back over there, but I need to get these archers out of here. They're just tearing up my army. Over here we have a massive engagement of all these Illyrian Reavers just fighting against these clan rats with spears so desperately. In come my dragon ogres. They're done dealing with the backs of my forces, keeping everybody nice and safe. Now they're going to go into combat and just take out these Illyrian Reavers for good. Over here in the front, you can see that my Poison Wind Globadiers are trading pretty good with these archers because they have that 100 armor. So even though they have a very low unit size and they don't have a lot of ammunition, 100 armor versus 0 right now because they're under the Wither effect and they lost their 30 armor that they did have, as well as armor-piercing damage on these guys is absolutely going to shift the balance in my favor for this little engagement. And so once I start getting rid of all these archers or tying them down, it's just going to be a slaughter because I have so many units left, 1,088 versus his 350 or so. So right here he has that Lord Master of Hoeth, who is no joke on his own, heavy AP damage, but against a Plague Priest, being able to slip around and all these forces running all over the place, there's nothing he can do. My cannons are not so accurate because they're kind of trying to shoot into this forest, so trees are blocking the shots or shots are just missing on their own, so it's a bad time, and the archers are still able to get their fire on, but at this point, I have so many forces left, there's just really nothing they can do, and I'm just kind of chasing around with my Plague Priest trying to get any archer unit I can grab, and then really that's going to be it. I start realizing, oh, I have all these forces all over the place, and I start pulling them into the woods exactly where they need to go, and then I'm like, you know what? Instead, we're going to go after the last bit of leadership that's still alive. We're going to kill this Lord Master of Hoeth, absolutely swarm him, and as soon as he routs, that's probably going to cause mass routing for the rest of this army, as you can see right here, chasing down these guys, and get a rear hit right there just a little bit, takes down their leadership, and the Lord Master routs over here, and it causes their leadership to absolutely buckle, and that's going to give me the win. So that's how you play Skaven right there. You can actually see the same thing. We'll go to the Dark Elf gameplay I did with the exact same army, so you can see that it works out versus Dark Elves and High Elves. And forgive the micro I put on these cannons. I tried to shoot with them myself. I should have just let them fire on their own, and I should have changed targets. They had really blobbed up infantry. I was like, oh, I can just aim this myself and shoot at them, but to no avail. I like completely fucked it up. I kept missing every single shot, and then they just stayed on the hag. What is it? The hag queen? Hag priest? Death Hag, that's what she's called. God dang, I have to learn the names of everything. They kept shooting at the Death Hag even though she was moving around kind of zigzagging, and kept missing a lot of shots. So right there, immediately just missed a shot right off the bat. So exactly the same build. He has some Black Orc Corsairs. I think he has... Okay, so he just has one of them, and he's got a lot of Bleak Swords, and then he's got some Dark Shards. So the Dark Shards actually do really well against Skaven as well because they do the 2 projectiles instead of 1, and they reload kind of slow, but with that mass fire, they definitely are able to do a lot of damage to grouped up infantry, kind of like my Skaven are. But right here, this is prime target for these cannons. Prime fucking target. But I just keep missing. I keep targeting this, and I keep shooting on my own. Right here, I whiff, going straight over their heads. That would have been devastating. Probably would have taken out like 15 guys with one shot. So right here, his catapult starts shooting. Over here on the side, we have Cold One Knights start charging in. And I just bring in my entire army, and I just leave the cannon in the back because I don't see any of this treachery going on. And then I do, and I start pulling all my spears over here to intercept. And I think I bring in these dragon ogres, these rat ogres over here to start trying to attack these guys as well. So he doesn't actually re-micro these guys at all. They just kind of get stuck in on the spears and stay there. Over here on the flank, he has these unit of harpies hidden in these trees, and they're going to come out and start attacking my catapults, but honestly, they're getting fucked up by these the Reaper Bolt throwers over here, and my front line is just going to wash across this guy and mess him up. So finally, my cannon shots are actually doing some good damage, taking down the Death Hag to about 75% in just a couple volleys. And as you can see, this is kind of what I was going for. Bring these guys in against Malekith. I stick him straight on there, and everybody else, I just do a frontline engagement, start wrapping them around his forces, because that's what I want. These guys go over there. These guys start throwing in against the Death Hag because they have that anti-large, and if we can get rid of the hero who's providing encouragement for the forces wherever Malekith isn't, it's going to allow me to start getting down that leadership, which is really important to try and outdo the opponent's leadership. You have to stack all those debuffs in leadership as a Skaven because, you know, like 35 leadership right here, 33 leadership right here, but that's just all these leadership debuffs are just being stacked in so heavily. So you can see that they're kind of matching leadership, and it's really not something that you would see out of an Elven unit with such like typically high leadership. So if we go right here, take a look at their base leadership, it's going to be actually 85, but there are so many variables making them so unhappy right now. Damage sustained being 50 of it, and then being under fire from cannons, magic, or debuffs from your enemies, surrounded, all this stuff. It just makes them so unhappy, so not willing to fight, and they just rout so quickly. So my opponent didn't have the best micro, that's why I didn't really originally want to cast this game, but it, you know, just kind of shows off exactly what the Skaven are about. They're about those mass numbers, getting all these debuffs off, and making the opponent rout. Right here, I lose micro on these guys a little bit. Death Hack's going to be coming back in the fourth quarter, trying to take out my Lord. I believe she does. Actually, no, Malekith gets to kill on the Lord. So Malekith right here is surrounded, but he's able to punch his way through with this this Cold One unit. He's going to chase down my unit, but not before I get off a devastating charge over here on these guys. So these guys actually have quite a bit of health, but with this charge coming in, they're going to lose like 500 health or so. They go down to like 1,600. Here comes my Lord. 123 health, so they're at 2,200 right here. I just want to see how much damage this charge actually does. Yeah, did pretty good. Did really good, actually. So about 600, 700 damage on that charge, not to mention whatever these Clan Rat Spears are doing. Malekith comes in here. He kind of doesn't get an attack off right there. It looks like it misses, but he comes right back around, whips him with the tail, and down tumbles my Grayseer. He dies like the rat he is, truly. This guy over here is still just ticking away at the life points of this unit and anybody else within range. Even though Murderous Prowess is popped, there's just so many of my forces left on the field. This is truly an amazing build. And this fight has just been going on the entire time. These guys are still fighting over here on this flank. This is just not what they were meant for. They're fighting against, you know, cheap spear units, and this guy on his own is going to be able to wrap up everything over here. Even though his leadership's quite low, he's still going to be able to win that fight and come back and be able to help out anybody. I don't know who I sick this guy on, but I'm pretty sure I'm like, oh shit, this whole unit's just been neglected the whole time. There we go. Get rid of these dark shards now. Over here, you can see that it's going to be a battle between the Plague Priest and the Death Hag. The battle of the two giant things. And so over here you can see these Poison Wind Globadiers are absolutely getting just fucked up by these Harpies. So I'm like, oh, I'll bring in the Rat Ogres, they'll save them. But they have such high melee defense, it's so hard to hit them. Even off the charge, they only took like a couple hundred damage right there, even though I had two monstrous units charge them in a row. And then the Gaze of Malice goes off right there from Malekith and actually takes out the Harpies for me, so very appreciative of that, Malekith. Very kind and generous Lord you are. And at that point, yeah, that frees up my Globadiers, and I start sicking everybody in here into this fight, because once Malekith goes down and once this Death Hag go down, there's nothing they can do. Yeah, I have lots of forces all tattered and routed, but they're going to be coming back into this fight, and like I said, this guy's wrapping up the fight over here. These guys aren't going to be able to do anything. I think they actually start running away, and I use the Pestilent Breath to catch a couple of these guys right here. Yeah, just like that. And then, yeah, what can they do? What can they do? Look at these numbers still, 1,062 to their 180. And at this point, I just like started looking at this fight for cinematics. I wasn't even paying attention to all my routing forces. I started trying to bring my Globadiers over here to try and put in some throws against Malekith and just end him real quick. So I pull in the Rat Ogres for now, just kind of pit him in there. And then I pull them out after a moment and pull this guy out. And I start pulling out these guys as well to try and get some good shots off on him and just kind of end the battle. But, you know, I'm going to win. There's no way that they're going to come back from this. And so I just kind of start sending the rest of my forces back here. But, you know, mass routing is going to happen. There's no way that this tattered remnants of the Dark Elves can destroy my fat army. So if you just take a look real quick, 1,596. But I actually got off a couple summons of Clan Rats because I guess a couple units had routed off the field. And, you know, I was just able to dominate the field because of my massive numbers. He just didn't have enough forces to stop me that just weren't able to chew through the numbers I had. So very unfortunate for him. Lost a lot of people, I did, but, you know, in the long run, it's just Clan Rats and some slaves right here. So you'll kind of see a little bit of a difference. I'm not sure how it works out. I balance between spears and Clan Rats based on, you know, like what I'm feeling. And it'll give me more or less slaves, and it'll be either Skaven slaves or two, like, Skaven slaves with spears ranked up quite high. So I'm kind of going in between a couple little variants of how many of these units I actually bring. But yeah, a little dual cast of the Skaven right there. That's how they work. I enjoy them. They're pretty fun, but definitely enjoy the Dark Elves a little bit more. I feel more comfortable with them than anybody else. The High Elves, still trying to work on a couple builds for them. Once I kind of iron out the kinks with playing them, because they're still relatively new to me. Same for the Lizardmen. I just feel so uncomfortable playing them and casting them. I don't want to give you guys bad builds and you try and copy me or something like that, even though I'm not a huge channel. This is a pretty decent build, though. I enjoy this one. The cannon can do a lot of work or very little. It really, if you need to pay attention to the cannon. The cannon can devastate a flying dragon. It can absolutely just destroy flying units in general. So pretty much every single game where I pay attention to the cannon and there's a dragon, I can get that dragon down to like half HP before it's ever landed. Or if there's lots of grouped up infantry, I can get like 50 kills on a single infantry unit just because I pay attention to it, or I'm able to like micro in some shots on it myself. So that's kind of something you need to pay attention to as the Skaven. But other than that, guys, just have fun. You know, Warhammer 2 is an amazing game, beautiful. I can't wait for the Mortal Empires to be added. I really want to start seeing the old factions versus the new factions. I love seeing all the interesting niches that these units have against each other with these 4 new factions, but I really want to see the old races from Warhammer 1 start fighting these guys. I can't wait to bring Chaos back in, or the Beastmen, and start running over these Skaven with them. God, I cannot wait for that. That's going to be so much fun. But as always, guys, that's pretty much it for today. So leave a like if you like what you saw. Subscribe if you want to see more. I will be pumping out more campaigns and battles for online play that I have. And feel free to send in replays as well. My email should be in the About section on my YouTube. It should be like if you click for business inquiries or whatever, or even just in the description. You can send me a battle replay there, and I have a video out somewhere about how to get to your battle replays to send them to me. And that should be it for today, guys. I'll catch y'all later.